Welcome back to my channel, sports fans. Okay, let's get into this one right here. LeBron James GOAT debate case is fake, right? His case for the GOAT debate is fake. It's fake. And I was thinking about this the other day. Well, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. Why his case is fake. It's non-existent for a GOAT debate, right? But I was just talking about this the other day, right? And we all know one of the things that this guy does is he team hops. And this is what I'm thinking. If the guy just went to Miami and played with Chris Bosh and Wade, I mean, that's bad enough. I mean, I just don't know how you can even accept that as an all-time great player to do something like that. And if we look at it, I did videos before, and we looked at Michael Jordan's first, what was it, first 7 years in the league, and I think LeBron's first 7 years in the league, playoffs, in regular season. We looked at these guys' stats, and Michael Jordan was just on a whole different level than most guys. And when we looked at LeBron, he was looking like he could be what people are saying he is today, either the GOAT or the second best player. When we looked at his stats up until what was that, 2010, they were pretty good, right? And him doing more with less. Now, I would say he did more with less than Michael Jordan in his first 7 seasons, because you got to remember, he had Shaq on that team. He had Ben Wallace. He had Wally Serbiak. He had some pretty good guys on that team. El Gauskas that made the All-Star team with him in second season. But he didn't have, what would you call it? Hall of Fame talent that was in their prime. And he really didn't need that in the East. He didn't need it. It was weak. Everybody knows this. Everybody was basically was at the same advantage, right? When you look at the teams that Wade had, when you look at the teams that Detroit had, the teams that even Boston. This guy had the number 1 seed over Boston 2 years in a row over some old beat up top 75 players. It would be the equivalent of I don't know, maybe. It was close to it. It was the equivalent of Charles Barkley, Hakeem, and who was it? Charles Barkley, Hakeem, and Drexler coming together when they did. It was no different. And the only reason why that team with Clyde Drexler, Charles Barkley, and Hakeem really didn't make it, because everything back then was based off of fundamentals, defense, execution, and real basketball. It wasn't laxed. And we saw, because it was so laxed in the 2000s, right, that Boston team did come together and steamroll the East 1 year. And I think they won a championship over the Lakers in '08, basically because, if I'm not mistaken, Biden was hurt. So I'm not going to make an excuse. I'm just saying, I think they would have at least took him to 7. So that's what that really was. It was an old beat up Boston team on their last leg that made it through. The next 2 years, they would be really no competition to LeBron or the East. Because you got to remember, Orlando beat them in 2009 in the second round, and they had the number 2 seed. Boston did. And Orlando still won. So I'm trying to tell you, it's an old beat up team just playing off of skills, right? They really didn't have the legs no more or anything like that. Yes, as the number 4 seed, they beat LeBron, who was the number 1 seed in 2010. How's that possible? These guys were barely made. I won't say barely, but they weren't number 1, they weren't number 2, and they weren't number 3 in the East standings. And LeBron didn't get go to Game 7 with these guys. Listen, this guy went to a Game 7 in 2008 against Boston. And I think, what was it? LeBron was like the number 2 or 3 seed, just coming off the '07 finals. He stunk it up again in 2008. That's what he did. He was like 27, 7, and 7, something like that. And he shot under 40%, averaged like almost 6 turnovers, shot 60 something percent from the line. It was ridiculous. 20 something from three. And he still took this team to a game 7. Oh, God. So you already knew this team was not that good. Imagine Michael Jordan taking a team to a game 7, shooting just like that, basically like he did in 2007 finals. It was the same thing. Only thing different, he averaged like 4 more points. That's it. He averaged 4 more points in 2008. Other than that, the storyline, the stat line was the same. This guy was starting his career as a career choke artist, right? So anyways, we don't know how he lost in 2010. We all know. We go back and look at the evidence. We did videos on this before. He didn't want to play Kobe Bryant because his career was over. He knew if he played Kobe was going to destroy this guy. Kobe wasn't going to beat this guy. Kobe was going to destroy, eliminate, and just walk all over this guy. He was going to give him the Air Jordan Mamba mentality. It was going to be a wrap. LeBron James would have no future GOAT argument when he made those back-to-back finals. And I said this when we did a video, it's just no coincidence that LeBron lost in 6 games in those playoffs in 2009, 2010, and Kobe advanced to the finals, winning in 6 games. And Skip talked about how LeBron was going to wear the number 6 next season. Before the announcement of even going to Miami, Skip said, we were told this year that LeBron is going to hang up the number 23 and wear the number 6 next year. This was before the decision. And we all know what happened. They said on TV, the guy melted down, waved the white flag, stood down, and he went to Miami. So if he went to Miami and he got Chris Bosh and Wade and rearranged his team with all kind of, what we call second best players on a team. Any team. You could put most of these role players that he had on Miami as best players or second best players on any team. So if he would have went over to Miami, built this super team, and just dominated his opponents, we might have been like, well, okay, man. I mean, what he did was so ridiculous, but at least he dominated while he was doing it, right? They could compare it to some other guys. Oh, these guys got together. These guys got together. You know what I'm saying? But they didn't dominate like LeBron in the Heat. That's all he needed was other guys. But he didn't do that. If the guy would have railed off 4 straight or did a 3-peat, we would have been like, whoa. But he goes into it and he chokes his first season. They don't even get the number 1 overall seed. And guess what? We know what he did in the finals. He gets dominated. It's over. What GOAT debate do you have? You choked in '07. Or no, you melted down in '07. I won't say choke unless you're supposed to win. You melted down in '07. You melted down 2008 against Boston. You melted down in '09 against Orlando. You melted down in 2010 against Boston and choked. No, you choked both years. You choked and melted down 2009, 2010. You melted down and choked in 2011. You're trying to tell me, and if you want to take it to '06, take it to 3-2 lead going back home against Detroit. I know it was your first playoffs, but you shot miserably and had a whole bunch of turnovers in game 6 and 7. Game 6 was a closeout at the crib. You lost that where you melted down, and you lost game 7 in a meltdown. And if we want to go back to 2005, when you didn't make the playoffs with an all-star teammate, lost 19-31 after the all-star break. See, they don't mention these things. They don't want you to dig these things up. They don't want you to dig them up. The biggest hype ever coming into the NBA. Remember, that's more than Bird, Magic, Kareem, Wilt, I keep trying to tell you fools, Wilt might be the biggest hype ever coming into the NBA. You guys don't know how famous this guy was. You don't know he was a rock star, a real movie star, not remaking other people's movies, right? A real movie star. Um, and things like this. More of a hype than Michael Jordan, Hakeem, anybody you want to name, Kareem. So we're expecting you in your first season to equal what these guys did on the court. That's what we expect. We don't expect for you to come in and shoot 41% from the field, shoot 71% from the line, 20-something percent from three. Um, we don't expect that. And you miss an all-star game in the playoffs? The biggest hype. How did you get that label as being the biggest hype when you weren't even in college playing against the best of high school players? That's what college is. You're playing against the best of the high school players around the nation. So in high school, you're playing against the best of who? I guess the guys in the state. So he went to academy school playing against nobodies. Nobodies. Plumbers, if you ask me. So he was dunking and doing layups on plumbers. And this is the biggest hype coming into the NBA? The chosen one. To do what? Who said this guy could shoot? Nobody. They said, you know what they did? They questioned, even though Michael Jordan had all those accolades in college, dusted off NBA players in scrimmage games, right? That summer, and then went to the Olympics and destroyed adult professionals. They still doubted this guy could shoot. Oh, the big knock on Michael Jordan. We don't think he can shoot the mid-range or he can shoot outside. You know what happened that rookie year? From that perimeter? They were shocked. They didn't know what to say. And he shot 50% from the field as a rookie. As a guard. Not as a forward, not as a center, as a guard. Lighten it up from the outside. Going into the paint, having the double clutch, do all kind of acrobatic moves just to get the shot off. It's not like today or in the LeBron era, you just can walk down the lane and do a layup. Or stiff arm the opponent in the face, the chest, the neck, and get away with it. Why they call foul on the opponent? Wasn't like that back then. And if you stiff arm somebody back then, they're really gonna. That's why I just don't understand. Back then, they're gonna come at you. They're gonna call offensive foul anyways. But I don't understand how these guys in this era allow this dude to stiff arm them for all these years and get away with it, and elbow them coming down a clear elbow. This ain't like an elbow getting a rebound. A clear elbow in a cold arm shiver coming down the lane. And these guys are so soft, they won't get up and fight this flopping, soft ass dude. You won't be able to do that back then. Dudes is going to go at it. These were men back then. Men. Men with muscles. Men with positional skills. Men that had to earn their points. Men that had to earn their assist. Men that had to earn their rebounds. That's what these men were. These were men that didn't, everybody wasn't running the same damn offense. That's what this era does today. So, yeah, you can see this guy did not have a better career than Bill Russell. You see it on your screen. Right? 11 championships, 4 rebound titles. He did not have a better career than Bill Russell. And when we think about what he did on defensive end too, he did not have a better career than Bill Russell. See, sometimes you guys get confused with, man, this guy's a better player. Well, this isn't one on one. This is a team sport. This isn't tennis or golf. We can put them both together. The player in his career. That's how we establish the top five, the top 10, right? We can't say, oh, Michael Jordan is a better player than Bill Russell because Michael Jordan can score more. Bill Russell can do a lot of stuff better than Michael Jordan. But we're not comparing that. What we compare is the career when we compare the overall achievements, right? We don't compare, you know, oh, Bill Russell, he didn't play in the 90s, man. Shaq would destroy him. We don't do it like that. We look at what you did in your career or what any guy did in his career or what the guys did in those eras, right? So we say, well, who was the greatest of the 210s? Who was the greatest of the 2000s? Who was the greatest of the 2020s? And then we look at that and we got to, well, okay, we'll see. Well, looks like Joker, looks like LeBron, look like Kobe. So you want to take those guys and say, oh, man, Joker couldn't play in the 2000s, man, because of this and that. Well, you can say that, but you can't say, oh, he's doing all this because of this, because of that. No, you just take him out of 2000s or the 2020s and you see his accomplishments. You can't say Michael Jordan, oh, he didn't play in the 60s. He didn't play in the 60s. He played in his own era. What did you do to dominate your own era, right? You don't diss other people's eras and say, oh, this guy couldn't play in this era. We want to see what you did in your era, how dominant you was in your era, right? Some people might have different, you know, as far as primes, it might have started at the beginning of their career, right? As far as their greatness. Some of it might have started in the middle of their career. So take a guy like Kareem, right? He basically dominated the 70s. Not as an overall career, but when we look at his statistical titles, his MVPs as an on-court player, he dominated the 70s. So we go on to later on in his career, and he starts dominating the 80s, right? With other teams. With other teammates. So as a career, you will put this guy in the top five. If not, you're out of your mind. At his position, he's one of the greatest players of all time. If not, you can put this guy at top two. When you look at his statistical titles, when you look at his MVPs, finals MVPs, and his championships, that's a career of what he did. He wasn't low management. He wasn't crying. He wasn't flopping. He wasn't ducking opponents. He wasn't melting down over and over again. Right? These guys came to play. These guys had a, what do you want to call it? I can't think of the word right now. But to be greater than a past player, Wilt, or try to surpass that guy, you got to do what those guys did. It wasn't, oh man, Wilt's era was bad. Man, there was plumbers over there. Look who Wilt played against. What are these guys talking about? You suited up and you went to work. Kareem probably had better shoes, better medicine, better flights, and all this stuff. But Kareem wasn't like, oh, this guy played against plumbers. Kareem was trying to go to the next level, was trying to outdo what Wilt Chamberlain did. And on a career level, he did. As a single on-court basketball player, an individual basketball player, he probably didn't. But he tried to. He won the 2 scoring titles. He won the, 3, 4 block titles? Couple rebound titles. This is what Kareem was doing. He was trying to. That's what Michael Jordan was trying to do when he got in the league, when he looked at past players. These guys watched each other play basketball growing up. So you're like, man, I'm going to be better than Dr. J, man. I'm going to be better than blah, blah, blah. Michael Jordan was still in high school when Magic Johnson and Larry Bird was in the league winning championships. He couldn't come into the league and they just be like, oh, yeah, man, Michael Jordan, better than Larry Bird and them because of some stats. Some stats. Some stats. No. You had to eventually show that you were better. So LeBron James didn't have a better career than Wilt when you look at the numbers, the achievements. Kareem, Magic, or Michael Jordan. He just didn't. He just didn't. When we put championships together with finals MVPs, and statistical titles, he didn't have a better career than these guys. And when we talk about a positional player, he damn sure wasn't better than these guys when we're talking about a position. When we're talking about a guy who can assist the ball, score the ball, rebound the ball, block the ball. LeBron never was better than these guys at what they did. Steal the ball. Never. He just was not. He wasn't on their level, man. Not even close. Not even close. They didn't flop and team hop and cry and whine and build these super teams 3 times. You lost and you stuck with your team. And you hope you got some better players in the draft. But when you do get a chance to build a super team or get some free agents, that's what you got. If you failed, you failed. You don't keep getting more chances to build super. Why do you get more chances to keep building super teams if you're the greatest player ever? That's what they're telling you. You get chance after chance after chance as the greatest player ever to build super teams. How does that make any sense? Or a top 5 player. Oh, man, this guy had this guy. That guy had that guy. So take Duncan off those teams and put LeBron with Ginobili and Parker. Take, I don't know, before Durant got there, take Curry off those teams and let LeBron play with Draymond Green and Klay Thompson. You want some more examples? Put LeBron on that team and take Greek Freak off that team when they won the championship. What's going to happen? Take Joker off that team and put LeBron on that on the Denver team. What's going to happen? Take Michael Jordan off those teams and put him with Horace Grant and Scottie Pippen. Really? He be done ran Phil Jackson up out of town. Feel like you got to be in the triangle, man. You got to run around the court, play off the ball, play defense, be one of the greatest defensive teams of all time. LeBron will run out of damn energy. And on those teams I was talking about too. Because you got to remember, most of your all-time great teams were great defensive teams. LeBron never plays on great defensive teams. Now, he was top 5 when he was back at Cleveland the first time, when he really cared. Since the super team era, he's been laxed. He don't play no defense. And he won't make it on those teams. Because he tells you how good offensively those teams were that beat him in the finals. It wasn't just because of that. They were great defensive teams. That's why. He said, oh, you're running through the East? You think the West is soft? They have something for this guy. So let's look at this right here. All these top 5 draft picks that this guy has played with. Hopping team to team to team to team to team. And none of them were drafted while he was there. If I'm not mistaken. None of these guys were drafted when he was already there on those teams. Right? These were guys that was already in the prime of their career and were Other teams, number one franchise players, and the majority of them, Hall of Famers. So top 5 draft picks of other teams that he played with. 1, 2, well, we could say Kyrie, AD, Derrick Rose. Who is it? Is this Dwight Howard? I think it's Dwight Howard. Um, we got Shaq on here. Oh, what is this guy's name? I forget this guy's name. I think he was drafted by Portland, and he ended up getting hurt. But he was on that Miami team. I know y'all go, oh man, this guy was hurt. Why'd you go put him on your team? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can even say 5 if you don't want to put him in there. 5 number 1 overall draft picks that this guy played with. That's crazy. And it don't matter. I don't care. Oh man, he wasn't in his prime. Why'd you go get him? And why was Shaq making more money than you a year when he was in Cleveland? Did you guys miss that video? The whole time LeBron was in Cleveland, he was never the highest paid player. Even the free agents that they brought in, they were making more money than the King per year. And he didn't make the most money on his team until when? I think until 2012 or 13. So top 5 draft picks, you got Wade, you got Carmelo, you got Ray Allen, Bosh, Westbrook, Love, Jameson. Oh, I forget this guy's name. Light-skinned dude. Juwan Howard, Beasley, and the rest of these fools. Right? It don't matter. If I say Darren Williams, oh man, he went a Hall of Famer. These guys make up all these excuses. I think LeBron played with this guy twice. And every time I put up graphics like this, people will just say, oh, you forgot this guy. You forgot you forgot that guy. Not mentioning, you ever seen that list of all-stars that this guy done played with? Either, that were on his team that he played with, or were all-stars from other teams and came play with him. I mean, wow. Wow. I try to tell you the other video, this guy's career is made up. It's like a fairy tale. Put the kiddies to sleep and let's read this fairy tale. Right? It's a good script. It's a good fairy tale of how great an average player was. An average player when you put him in the 90s. That's it. He ain't got no mid-range. He can't shoot the 3. He can't shoot free throws. He has no footwork. He has no post moves. He acts like he's a small forward, but he's 250, 260, 270, depending on when the water kicks in. So he's really not even a small forward, right? He's a power forward. He's the same size and height as Karl Malone. And in those days, you did get big, right? Because you had a battle against big men. Why did this guy get big? Nobody knows. There's no big man to battle with. Oh, so you can barrel down the lane and do dunks and layups. That's the only reason. Kobe wasn't getting big. Ain't no big dudes here. I came from the 90s. Everybody's little now here. Nobody. Why am I going to start lifting weights? I mean, he did lift weights, but he didn't get jacked up like that. Kobe said, I got a game. I got game, homie. All these people, oh man, Kobe had this bad series. Kobe shot this. Kobe did this. You see all this stuff all the time in these groups. And you look stupid because everybody in the NBA, every player, even LeBron James in the early 2000s, in the late 2000s, said Kobe was the best player in the league because of his skills on offense and defense. So if you're saying Kobe wasn't a good player, wasn't a good shooter, then what does that mean for the rest of the league? Especially for LeBron James, when he's getting back-to-back MVPs, and he's calling Kobe the best player in the league. And even if you guys say, oh, Kobe had LeBron, he had a better record overall. He did. more with less to get the number one seed in back-to-back seasons. Okay. So with his skill level of him not being able to shoot the mid-range, the three, sucks at shooting free throws, ain't got no post moves. So what skills did he possess to win that MVP back-to-back seasons? Just exposes the league. No statistical title that he won in back-to-back seasons when he got those MVPs. So LeBron has, this is what we're going to say. LeBron has no case for the GOAT debate over Russell, Michael Jordan, Wilt Chamberlain, Magic, and Kareem. None. And if you hear a dummy say, try to compare eras, it's dumb. It's what you did in your era. So what you did in your era, when we look at everything it's not better than what these guys did in their era. It's not. For their career. You ain't talking about a one-on-one player. If this is what you did in your career, you're the best player in your career. When we look at everything you did, it exposes your error as weak. As weak. Those players are weak. If this is all you got to stand on for what you did, and your error is weak. All this team hopping, 2 statistical titles, crying, flopping, don't have no basketball skills, right? Shooting, underwhelming rebounds, no positional skills. Expose your error. Can't be the GOAT. Tell me what you think.